Hello and welcome to Your Stocks in the Mumbai News Studio. I'm Ekta Batra. Well, it's turning out to be a day where we are celebrating what Jerome Powell, in fact, said at Jackson Hole, indicating that, yes, it is the time to probably soften up when it comes to rates. As of now, we have the Nifty, which is up around 206 odd points, holding above 25,000. We have the mid-cap index, which is not step in step. It's still up only around for 0.4%. So we have the frontliners or the heavyweights, which are really taking the step forward in today's trading session. The Bank Nifty up around 0.6%, advanced decline ratio, which is in positive terrain, so that really stands out. But we do have a whole host of stocks to cover, and joining us today is Astha Jain, analyst at Securities, and Vaishali Parekh will be with us soon as well, or she's with us now. She's the head of tech research at Prabhudas Lilladher to answer all the queries that we have today. Ladies, welcome to the show. Well, Vaishali, let's start with you. It's turning out to be a session which is quite solid at this point in time. What would your approach be in today's trade?
Hi, good afternoon, both of you. And yes, market has opened very buoyant, and we are looking forward to a target of 25,300 to 25,500 as the next projected target. And the support levels are elevated now to 24,700 levels.
Okay, all right. In terms of specific stocks, anything that you would like or sectors that you would like today? For example, we have a couple of these old world economy stocks doing well, Hindalco, NTPC, ONGC. Anything you like within that space, or even IT?
Surely. So actually, the one positive thing that we are observing today is, first of all, Bank Nifty, which has been quite a laggard all this while, has come out of its consolidation. So focus would be more on the private sector banks from here on. And along with that, IT sector is also doing very well. So we continue to have a positive bias, and among which I think today HCL Tech is also showing a lot of strength. Along with that, Wipro. These are still technically very well placed to look for further higher targets. And besides that, of course, there is ONGC, also some of the pharma stocks. Overall, there is good participation. So sector specific, stock specific. And as you mentioned about metal sector, well, aluminium stocks have already done a good run-up, but we would still be looking at Hindustan Copper, SAIL, Tata Steel, Vedanta. These are the stocks which still show a lot of strength for further upside. So yes, overall, I think one needs to cherry pick as and when the opportunity arises.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Well, we do have a couple of queries now. We have Sridhar, who writes to us from New Delhi, holds 225 shares of VIP Industries, which is bought at around 578 and can hold these shares for another 6 months odd. He's sitting on a loss at this point in time. He wants to know what to do, whether he should hold or sell with a loss or not. Well, Astha, let's toss this over to you. What would you recommend on this particular counter? VIP sitting on a loss at this point, but do you think that there's any kind of turnaround on this one?
Hi, good afternoon to both of you. Yes, talking about this counter, we are expecting turnaround to be there, but not in the immediate term. So maybe it will take at least 3 to 4 months more. And maybe Q2 of FY25 numbers will also be muted at what we have seen in the Q1 of FY25. So we have seen the muted performance. But what we have seen and what is positive about this company, that still they have shown the muted performance because the wedding dates were very fewer and we have that heat wave also. So all these have affected the numbers. But going ahead, I think what we have seen is that volume is still rising, because we have seen 11% rise in the volume, as well as they have shown the increase in the market share also. So these are some positive points as of now. But going ahead, I think from Q3 FY25 onwards, we will start seeing the positive numbers also. So I think by that time, definitely we can see that the cost price will definitely arrive for this investor. So I'm recommending a hold with the initial price target of at around 510 to 550 odd levels. So maybe it will take another 3 to 4 months more. So a hold is recommended with the time period of 4 months and the price target of 510 to 550.
Okay, all right. And what about you, Vaishali? You know, it's not done well in the past 12 months. What's your sense?
So I agree totally that the stock is showing a lot of weakness. I mean, there isn't much happening, but the only consolation is technically it is just showing bounce back from the oversold zones. And as Astha rightly mentioned, I mean, it matches our technical target. I would expect a bounce back up to 510, 520, and from there on we can have a relook. If it sustains above that, we could aim for higher targets. But if one were to look into luggage industry and all, then I think Safari has a very strong trend, and it should do well even from there on. So if one has to buy, I would recommend the Safari. But since this gentleman is already holding a VIP, I guess just continue holding.
Okay, all right. So that's on VIP. Stock is down around 10% in the past 3 months. We have Parag, who writes to us from New Delhi. He holds 50 shares of UTI AMC, which he's bought at an average rate of around 564. He wants to know what to do, whether he should hold or sell at these current levels or not. So this is basically UTI AMC. He's sitting on a profit at this point in time. So it's doing well at this point in terms of an investment. So that's, before we get to that, there's some news coming in from Money Control, which we need to keep note of. SEBI has issued a should cause notice to the Paytm founder as well as board members. So this is just an additional update which you should just keep in mind. Remember, Paytm was in focus on account of that big transaction that took place with Zomato. And now we have additional details coming in about a show cause notice. This is coming in from Money Control. We wait by for more additional details. As you can see, the stock is sharply lower in today's trade, down around 7%. Before we get to UTI AMC, Astha, any thoughts on Paytm?
So what was the news before was that about the Zomato and the ticketing business, which the Zomato will be taking over. And that was a positive news from both the counters. Because if we talk about the Paytm, so definitely it will help the Paytm in their financial performance, while Zomato will also be getting advantage to this. In the longer term. But now if this news has come, then definitely it will have a negative impact. So our stance here is we are not recommending buy on Paytm as of now. Previously also we have not recommended buy. So right now, please stay away from the counter. This is our advice to all the investor, because the news which has come is negative. So meanwhile, we need to really see the news in detail. But as of now, it's stay away from this counter, and wait and watch strategy should be applied for all those who have this counter in their portfolio.
Okay, all right. Well, now on UTI AMC, Astha, the Parag has bought it. He holds 50 shares. He's sitting on a profit. He bought it at 564. What should one do with it?
So we think UTI AMC will continue to show positive momentum, because we have seen their SIP inflow has increased by 45% in the June quarter. And what we have seen is that their ratio of the equity AUM versus non-equity AUM is higher than the industry average, because their ratio of equity AUM in the total AUM is around 78%, which is higher than the industry ratio of 71%. So that itself signifies that the company has a positive momentum on that part also, and they have a strong AUM growth, and their AUM currently stands at around 3 lakh crore. So we think all things are falling in place for this counter. So we are positive on this counter as of now. So if the investor has no need to book the profit as of now, then definitely a hold is recommended. Initial price target can be set at around 1200 to 1250 odd levels.
Okay, and what about you? It's given very good returns in the past 1 year. It's gained around over 50% Vaishali. So UTI AMC, what would your approach be?
So I would say that the trend is very strong, but I think it's a one-way move. So it's better to hold with a trailing stop loss, or actually book partial profit, because if the stock dips to an extent, he can better the rate and move on for higher targets. Right now, there is no sign of exhaustion, nothing, but always better when it's already so much in an overbought zone, hold with a trailing stop loss.
Okay, hold with a trailing stop loss. That's the word coming in on UTI AMC. Hardik now writes to us from Madhya Pradesh. He holds 100 shares of LIC, which is at the price of around 1120, sitting on a loss there. Wants to know the future prospects of his investment. Vaishali, let's start with you on this one. Let's get in a technical call, and then we'll toss it over to Astha.
Yes, so right now it is in a downtrend, but continue holding with 1020 as a stop loss because we may see a bounce coming in from here on. But if 1020 levels break, then it negates the trend and we could see in further weakness. So right now hold with a stop loss of 1020.
Okay, hold with a stop loss of 1020. And Astha, what about you? LIC?
Even we are recommending a hold. Our initial price target is around 1130 to 1150. So I think very near to the cost price where the investor has invested in this counter. Now talking about this counter, what we have taken from their con call transcript is that the management is really positive. The share of non-par business is really increasing, which is again on the positive side for the company. In fact, their AUM has also shown growth of around 16%, and their AUM right now is standing more than 50 lakh crore. This is what we believe. So I think, I beg your pardon, more than 5 lakh crore. So I think with the strong growth in the AUM, with the increase in their non-par business, and in fact, the persistency ratios are also on the positive side. So all these are signifying towards the upside momentum of the stock prices. Maybe it will take some time. So maybe a 3-month or a 4-month time horizon can be kept for this counter. But a hold is recommended. Initial price target 1130 to 1150 can be set on this counter.
Okay, all right. Well, now we have another query. We have Sania Sheikh, who writes to us from Mumbai, holds 20 shares of Trent, which is bought at around 1286. And as a long-term investor, wants to know if she could hold the shares for another 10 years. Another 10 years. So she's a long-term investor, but it's just made its way into the Nifty now. So it's probably on a different trajectory in terms of perception and growth as well, if it hasn't already been. So let's toss it over to you, Astha. What's your call on Trent?
So 10-year time horizon is really a long period. So yes, then definitely a hold is recommended from our side. For the initial price target, if someone wants to keep, then I think 7,100 or 7,200 can be set as an initial price target. Talking about this counter, they are showing strong performance. The Star Bazaar has shown the reduction in losses. The other formats are working well for this company, which can be seen from the increased footfall. So I think the strategies which the company is adopting is really working well for the company. And I think they will continue to show strong performance going ahead. Recommending a hold. Initial price target is 7,200.
Okay, initial price target is 7,200. But do you believe that this would be a portfolio stock?
Yes, for the long-term time, definitely a portfolio stock. And for 10 years, it is a hold from our side.
Okay, all right. Vaishali, what about you? I know it's tough to, track the technicals for such a long period. But based on what you've seen and what you are seeing for Trent, what would you recommend?
Well, I would always say that, partial profit booking cannot be ruled out. Either that should be the strategy, or if the stock corrects to an extent, say around 6,500, 6,300, some more can be added. So choose the way you want it. I mean, either book partial profit to have a re-entry at lower levels, or hold to what you are having, and for a longer term perspective, add more at lower levels.
Okay, all right. Well, on that note, we need to take a short break. We'll answer more stock queries on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Well, you're still tuned into Your Stocks. We have with us Vaishali and Astha on the show to answer all of your queries. We have Amit now, Amit Suresh Das, who writes to us from Kolkata. He has an investment question. He wants to buy shares of NTPC and asks what to do. He wants to know whether to hold or sell. Hasn't specified if he's a short or a long-term investor. So let's get a query. Let's get your perspective on both sides. Let's start with a short call on the technicals. Vaishali, let's start with you.
Well, with today's move and good volume, I would say it's ready for a new round of momentum. Current market price is 413. So with today's low, that is nearly 400 rupees as stop loss, for a short-term perspective, can buy this stock for a target of 420 to 425. So that's how I can look at it with a shorter-term time frame. But with a longer-term perspective, maybe as a positional trade, I would still be recommending a buy with the same stop loss for a target of 460 to 480.
Okay. All right. And now what about you, Astha? What would your long-term as well as short-term call be on NMDC? On NTPC rather.
Right. So we are positive on the NTPC counter. We are positive from short-term as well as long-term point of view. Initial price target which we are giving is at around 460 to 480 odd levels. Now talking about this counter, they have a strong thermal power capacity and now they're pouring into the renewable space will definitely help the company showing very strong financial performance. So we are believing that company will continue to post strong performance and one can invest at the present juncture also. Initial price target can be set at around 460 to 480 odd levels.
Okay, all right. Now we have a question on NMDC. Om Jindal writes to us from Mumbai, holds 1,065 shares of NMDC, which he's bought at 260. Wants to know what to do, whether he should book his losses or not, or whether he should stay invested. What's your opinion, Vaishali, on this?
So I would say, see, a long-term chart is quite okay, and we have seen good corrective move in the recent past after making a high of around 286 to now 226. So the stock is really showing signs of bounce back and improvement. So I would say one can add more, keeping 200 as a prominent support. And from today's move, the way metals have started surging, I think even NMDC is ready for a takeoff. So I suggest a buy with 220 as support.
Okay, buy with 220 as support. What about you, Astha, on NMDC?
So NMDC, what we have seen is that strong numbers, especially in the volume front, due to the strong steel demand. So now we really need to look at how the steel demand going to pan out in the coming future. Meanwhile, we are expecting the stock to continue to perform strongly, but not in the near term, because we can see some sort of weakness in the iron ore prices that can affect the earnings as well as realizations. So I think in the longer term, the stock can perform better. So there is no need to book the losses at current juncture. Continue to hold the stock with the initial price target of around 250, which is very near to the cost price of around 260. But the time horizon here can be set as more than 3 months, because in the immediate term, we are expecting some softness in the steel prices, and that definitely will going to affect the financial performance of the company. So for the time horizon of more than 3 months, a hold from our side, initial price target can be set at around 250 to 260 odd levels.
Okay, all right. Now we have Kurian, who writes to us from Kerala, holds 500 shares of Indian Hotels, which is purchased at around 430. He wants to know what to do with this particular counter. He's sitting on a very good profit at this point in time. Vaishali, do you think it's prudent to probably take some profits off the table in this case as well?
I don't think so, because I mean, there is no exhaustion. Of course, it is showing a lot of strength. It has retested the previous high and likely to give a breakout about 665. So if that is what is going to happen, we would be now looking at a next projected target of 700 to 720. So overall, all hotel stocks are doing well, and particularly Indian Hotel. As a disclaimer, we have already recommended this stock as well as NMDC as a positional trading strategy. So my view is positive on these two stocks.
Okay, your view is positive on this counter. Well, it's given returns of around 11 odd % just in the past couple of months. But Indian Hotels on the fundamentals, Astha?
Fundamentals are looking very strong, and we are recommending a hold. So even I'm also of the same view that there's no need to book profit, because we are expecting price to move around the 700 or more than those levels also. So recommending a hold. Now talking about this counter, they have a plan to open 25 new hotels in this new fiscal. So again, I mean, opening or the expansion will definitely lead to strong financial performance. In fact, they have also entered into the branded residence segment. So I think that will also help the company in showing a strong performance. So we are believing that this counter will continue to show strong performance, recommending a hold with a price target of 700. In fact, if some fall can be seen, then definitely it can be a buying opportunity also. So both recommendations are there, buying as well as hold. Initial price target can be set at around 700.
Okay, initial price target can be set at around 700 odd for Indian Hotels. We do have Ola Electric now. Question on that. Karthik Kamble writes to us from Pune. He holds 200 shares of Ola Electric Mobility at 145. He wants to know the future prospects of his particular holding. Well, not much in terms of technical details on this one, Vaishali, so I'm going to toss it over to Astha. Well, Ola Electric, a lot of comparisons have been made in terms of the kind of gains we've seen post-listing and about the promoter. But give us a sense, Astha, what do you recommend to your clients when it comes to this stock?
The IPO came, we were very much constructive on the IPO. We have recommended subscribe with the listing gain as well as long term, and our both strategies fall in place. Now, talking about this counter, why we are positive? We think that this counter, their product, because when we have to differentiate any automobile company, their product is the key feature. So, talking about the Ola's product, I think they have a strong applicability in the rural areas. Because of the cheaper product as compared to the other brands. And talking about their market share also, they have a strong market share. Now talking about the cost feature, because the battery cost is the major cost, I think around 30% is the battery cost in the total cost. And in fact now, this cost will also be going to reduce because now they are turning to be self-sufficient in the battery making. So I think that is also a positive point. Although they are in the losses right now, in fact, on the EBITDA level also, they are into the minor losses. But what we believe that going ahead with the launch of motorbikes and with the cost reduction, they will be turning around maybe 2 years down the line. So it is a good long-term story. But now here the investor has entered into the high price of around 145 from 75 IPO price. If someone has made entry on those levels, then definitely it is a high valuation price, and that's why we have seen some sort of correction. So the investor really need to wait for at least 6 to 8 months. So our stance here is continue to hold, but please wait for some more time and don't enter into the stock when the IPO price is 75 and entering at 145 makes no sense. But all in all, wait for more time. I think 145, 150 can again be seen, but here the time horizon can be set to around 3 to 4 months.
Okay, all right. Thanks very much for that, Astha, as well as Vaishali, for taking us through all of those queries. Well, for the markets, the mid-cap index has picked up a little more pace, so it's up around 0.4%. The Bank Nifty also up around 0.5%. That's all the time that we have in the show. Closing bell up.